Andy, the suspects passed fake bills at 2 spots on West Edge, hitting them back-to-back on Saturday.
Had me fooled because the marker worked.
Lacey Fulton is a clerk at the Wild Bill Tobacco Shop in Portage. It's one of 2 area businesses scammed out of cash by people passing counterfeit bills over the weekend.
She comes in, gets 2 Newports and some Swishers, and she gives me this $100 bill.
Fulton says she thought something was off with the bill.
And I'm looking at it, and I've never seen it before. It's, it's a little, real old looking. I thought it was just old.
Which is why she says she made sure to check it, like this.
So I marked the pen on it, and it worked, and then I called my manager because it just didn't seem right to me. And, he was just like, the pen worked.
So she gave the woman her change, about $93, and the woman left.
And then her friend comes in 10 minutes later with the same one, and we were just like, something's up,
This time they refused. The woman took off, and they called police. It turns out the city of Portage wasn't the only area hit. Businesses in Battle Creek and Kalamazoo were also targeted.
The Battle Creek one we feel is connected, seeing the photographs of their incidents, and also the serial numbers on the bills match the ones in Portage and the ones in Battle Creek.
It's going to be 3871.
Fulton, who has only been on the job for a few weeks, says next time she'll go with her gut instead of just relying on those pins.
I didn't know what to do because it worked. I was so convinced that it was real.
So what can you do if the money passes the pen test? Coming up at 6, we'll talk to police about how you can better spot fake money. Live in Portage, Sherry Hartman, News Channel 3.
In County.
Take a look at this. This is actually someone's front yard. All of this rain creating a watery mess for residents tonight.
It looks like a flowing river, and I can't believe it.
In the nearly 50 years Richard Bailey has been coming to his summer home on Lake of the Woods, he says he's never seen this much water that wasn't actually in the lake.
When I left this morning, it didn't look like this. And when I come home today, it's like, we're being washed out. We got a river coming through here. They did something with the field out there last year. I don't know if it was drainage or anything. I can't really say for sure. But with all this rain and everything, I don't know where it's coming from.
In just a few hours today, heavy rain has flooded parts of Lawton and here in Decatur, washing out roads and flooding yards. And with more rain expected overnight, Bailey says he is worried about what he will wake up to in the morning.
Very concerned because it could wash out this driveway and affect me from going to work and everything.
Bailey says he will keep his fingers crossed that no more rain will fall before this current water dries up.
No, there's nothing I can do. Just wait and keep an eye on it and hope for the best.
Now, we're expected to get a short break tomorrow before the rain picks back up again on Wednesday. More rain means that rain could end up eventually in our major rivers like the Kalamazoo, Grand, and St. Joseph. All of that rain could mean more flooding later this week. Live in Van Buren County, Sherry Hartman, News Channel 3.
It admits something on the stand today.
Yeah, Kate, Cindy Gamrat had always denied any involvement in the scheme to cover up that affair with Todd Courser. Today, she came clean.
Words cannot express the deep regret I have regarding some of the decisions I have made.
Her voice breaking at times, Cindy Gamrat apologized for the affair with colleague Todd Courser and the misuse of state resources to try to hide it.
While I did not know in advance of the specific and offensive things that were in the false email that was eventually circulated, I take full responsibility for my role in Representative Courser's plan and the resulting harm that it has caused. For this, I offer my genuine apology.
Last week, a House report found the pair to have been deceitful and dishonest for sending out a fake email about Courser's involvement with a male prostitute to divert attention away from their misconduct.
It was so much stress that I allowed my fear to take over.
The pair are facing expulsion. Today, Gamrat pleaded with the committee to allow her to stay in office.
I asked for and I'm willing to accept censure for several reasons, including seeking forgiveness for my transgressions, as well as avoiding further erosion of respect and faith in this great institution.
Today, the House counsel gave his recommendations on what should happen to Gamrat.
Gamrat receive a censure with severe conditions.
The House Counsel also recommended that Courser be expelled. Courser did not speak today. He's expected to speak tomorrow. Coming up at 6, we'll hear more from Gamrat and also from members of that committee. Live in Lansing, Sherry Hartman, News Channel 3. For now, it looks like people got out of this disruption here okay. For now, live in Portland, Sherry Hartman, back to you.
Sherry Hartman is live in Grand Rapids. She's been covering this trial all week. And Sherry, another day of very compelling testimony.
Yeah, that's right, Andy. During closing arguments, the defense tried to paint a picture of abuse and mental illness as the reason for the murder, but the prosecution says it was premeditated. The defense says a beating by his stepfather and the threat of another one later that day pushed 13-year-old Jamarian Lawhorn over the edge. That and mental illness from repeated beatings for years and a desire to die is the reason the then 12-year-old stabbed Connor Verkerke last August. The prosecution says Lawhorn knew exactly what he was doing that day, hiding the knife, targeting Connor, stabbing him repeatedly, and then calling 911 to report the crime.
And frankly, here we have a situation that's just a tragedy all around. There isn't a good, optimistic feeling that's come from this case. You've only had to experience it for 4 days. Jamarian Lawhorn's experienced it for his whole life. Is that someone who can appreciate intricacies of the law at this point? The wrongfulness of his conduct? I submit to you it isn't. You should find him not guilty by reason of insanity.
He planned this. If ever there was a first-degree murder, it is now. It is here. It is this case. But I submit the defense wants you to cut him some slack because of what he went through. Well, that's a whole lot more than the defendant did for Connor Verkerke.
And the judge has excused the jury for the day. In the morning, they will be given instructions and will begin deliberations. Live in Grand Rapids, Sherry Hartman, News Channel 3. Crashes into this home after losing control of the vehicle. It happened around 2 this afternoon when the driver of a minivan apparently accelerated after the surgical boot she was wearing somehow got stuck. She crashed into a couple of mailboxes, went down an embankment and into this house.
I don't think it's anybody's anticipation to come home from work and find a hole in their house. So that's quite a shock.
They did not want to go on camera. They're in a bit of shock, but they're actually taking it in stride. They tell me they're just happy that no one was home at the time. As you can see, there's a lot of toys in here, and this is a playroom for their grandkids, so they're just happy that everyone is okay. As for that driver, we're told that she suffered minor injuries and is going to be okay as well. Live in Wayland, Sherry Hartman, News Channel 3. Todd Courser and Cindy Gamrat have rejected calls to resign, but now that this report is out, it may no longer be up to them. Todd Courser and Cindy Gamrat used their office and staff to cover up an extramarital affair. That's according to a report released today. The investigation by the House Business Office found Courser and Gamrat are not credible witnesses, based on the audio recording that contradicts their claims they didn't try to hide their affair. It also says Courser and Gamrat committed misconduct in office that warrants further investigation and review by the Select Committee. According to the report, the pair was deceptive, deceitful, and outright dishonest on numerous occasions. That included telling staff to send a fake email about Courser's involvement with a male prostitute to divert attention away from their affair. Investigators also believe Courser and Gamrat misused state resources for political purposes by requiring staff to meet during normal work hours to discuss their affair, in spite of numerous requests by staff to end the meeting and return to work. We reached out to State Senator Margaret O'Brien, who has called for their resignations, for reaction to the report.
You have to look at your constituents and can you effectively serve your constituents? And then third, can you work with your colleagues in the House and be able to move legislation in a positive manner? And I question if they can do any of those three things. There's been a trust that's been broken, and in my eyes, I would urge them to focus on their families and to step down.
We went to Gamrat's home this afternoon for comment. No one answered the door. So what happens next? The Special House Committee looking into the scandal will begin hearings tomorrow morning.
Live in the studio, Sherry Hartman, News Channel 3.
Yeah, that's right. The fire is under control, Andy. But as you can see, there is still smoke coming out of the building. Several buildings, they were trying to get this fire out. The Pish Company is a demolition and salvage company. The Pish Company is a salvage company. The crews were out, called to the scene around 9:30 this evening. 11 different fire departments responding. There were reports of explosions happening here. We spoke to the Grand Rapids Deputy Fire Chief about the cause. He says that was due to propane tanks inside of the building, but he says that no one was inside the building at the time, so there were no reports of injuries at this time. There were also reports of people being evacuated in the area. He says that was not the case. Crews are expected to be out here for quite some time battling this fire. We hope to bring you more information on this fire, but for now, live in Grand Rapids, Sherry Hartman, News Channel 3.